You're about to hear their name again. But this time it won't hurt. You're about to hear their name again, but this time it won't hurt. Don't scroll. Heaven needs you still for a moment. You will hear their name again soon, maybe in conversation, maybe on a screen, maybe passing in the air, and the old ache will try to rise. But this time, my beloved child, your spirit will stay calm. The Archangel stands beside you, hand over your heart, whispering, "It's safe now." The memories that once pulled you under have lost their power. You are not who you were when you met them. Every tear you cried over their silence watered the garden that now grows inside you. You thought time was what healed you, but it was choice, the choice to stop chasing answers, to stop blaming yourself, to let heaven explain in silence. When their name returns, it will sound different. It will echo through peace instead of pain. You will remember not what they did, but what you discovered about yourself because of them. You learned boundaries. You learned self-respect. You learned how to love without losing your light. That is why heaven allowed the distance, not to punish, but to teach you endurance that compassion could survive inside. The Archangel whispers, every heartbreak that didn't destroy you built something unbreakable. Look at you now, steady breath, quiet eyes, soft tone. You survived the version of love that was never ready for you. And because you did, you'll recognize peace before chaos ever wears charm again. Child, the mention of their name is not a reopening, it's a test that proves healing is complete. Heaven never tests to shame, it tests to show. You will hear it, smile slightly, and move on with grace. That moment will mark your graduation. So when it happens, don't run from it. Pause. Breathe. Thank heaven that your heart no longer trembles at borrowed ghosts. You have reclaimed ownership of your emotions. What once felt like loss has become the map back to yourself. Heaven says, the same sound that once broke you will now bless you. The Archangel looks at you, eyes bright as dawn, and adds, because peace, once learned, cannot forget its own name. The moment you realize you're free. My beloved child, the Archangel stands near you again. The air tonight feels different, lighter, wider, as if even the silence has been unclenched. Heaven waited for this exact stillness, the moment your heart could hold the truth without shaking. The storm didn't end in a single night, it ended slowly, quietly, like light filling cracks in a room. That is how peace arrives, not as noise, but as permission to breathe again. You are not haunted anymore. What you are feeling is not longing, it is recognition. The name that once pierced you now passes through you like wind through open space. There is no resistance, no echo, no sting. You have become larger than your pain, and that is the hidden miracle heaven has been building inside you all along. The Archangel whispers, when you stopped asking why they left, you made space for understanding that never needed them to return. Think about how far you've come. There was a time when hearing their name sent you spiraling back into questions, replaying old moments, measuring your worth by their silence. But you stayed long enough in the quiet for heaven to rebuild what they broke. You did not skip grief, you walked through it. You learned to sit with memories without feeding them. That's what strength looks like now, calm that doesn't need to explain itself. Heaven says, when I heal, I do not erase, I reframe. What you once called heartbreak was the classroom where you studied your own soul. The nights you thought were punishment were actually preparation. You learned empathy there, how to love without control, how to forgive without return. Now, when their name crosses your path, it arrives as a reminder, not a wound. You'll feel a small wave of tenderness, the kind that honors what was without needing it again. That is what maturity feels like, gratitude without attachment. The Archangel shows you the invisible ledger of time. Every day you chose to stay kind, every time you refused to speak bitterness, every prayer you whispered instead of revenge, they are all written there as light. Heaven counts those moments as victories, not losses. That is why your atmosphere has changed. The energy around you no longer vibrates with hurt, it hums with completion. Child, people may still talk, their stories may still circulate, but none of it can touch you. The vibration of your healing is too high for gossip to reach. You've moved to a different altitude, and bitterness cannot breathe there. The Archangel smiles. Elevation is not distance, it's discernment. You can still see them, but you no longer need to step down to meet them. There will come a day soon when you meet eyes with someone new, and you'll realize you're not afraid of being seen anymore. You will not compare or anticipate pain, you will simply be present. That is how heaven writes second chances, with calm hands, not trembling ones. Heaven whispers, every healed heart becomes a lighthouse. Others will find you because of your steadiness. You won't even have to tell your story, they'll feel it. The peace you carry will become their permission to heal, too. That is the quiet purpose behind everything you endured. So, beloved, when you hear that name again, smile softly and let it drift past. It no longer belongs to your pain, it belongs to your past. You are already living in what's next. The Archangel rests his hand on your shoulder, eyes bright with relief. You did it, he says. The test is over. What was once heavy now floats. Heaven says, the wound has turned into wisdom. And that, my child, is the truth that sets you free. When heaven begins to replace what you lost. My beloved child, heaven speaks again through the quiet rhythm of your own breath. You have carried emptiness for so long that fullness feels foreign, but that is about to change. The Archangel stands in the soft glow of your new morning and says gently, now that pain no longer defines you, blessings can finally find you. You see, healing does not mean forgetting, it means becoming a space where new light can land. For months, heaven held certain opportunities back, not because you were unworthy, but because unhealed hands would have dropped what was precious. Now those same hands are steady, and heaven begins to return what was withheld. At first it will come quietly, a message that feels divinely timed, a new face that listens instead of reacts, a small success that feels effortless. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. Heaven whispers, the world rearranges itself around hearts that stop chasing and start trusting. The Archangel reminds you how often you asked why certain doors closed so suddenly. The truth is, not every closed door was loss, some were protection from versions of yourself that still believed love had to hurt to be real. Heaven waited until you could recognize kindness without suspicion, safety without boredom, peace without guilt. That is the lesson completed, now begins the living. You will begin to notice a different rhythm in your days. People who used to unsettle you will no longer occupy your thoughts. You'll walk into familiar rooms and feel like a guest of peace, not a prisoner of memory. You will find yourself smiling for no reason at all. That is what heaven's restoration feels like, not fireworks, but quiet steadiness. Child, the Archangel places a mirror before you, not of glass, but of light. Look, he says, this is who you are now, still tender, but no longer fragile. You realize that strength has become invisible. It no longer needs to shout, it simply exists. Heaven says, when your heart stops bleeding, it starts building. The new blessings coming toward you are not replacements, they are upgrades shaped by wisdom. Relationships that mirror your calm, opportunities that respect your boundaries, days that reward your patience, these are the results of spiritual maturity. In the weeks ahead, something you once wanted desperately will reappear. You'll feel the pull, the old nostalgia, but you will also feel something else, clarity. You will sense that you no longer fit into what you outgrew. That moment will not be sad, it will be sacred. You'll smile, bless it, and walk forward, realizing that the real victory was never getting them back, it was getting yourself back. The Archangel leans closer, his voice warm, you are no longer waiting for closure. You are living it. Heaven adds, do not fear the quiet. It is the sound of alignment. Every area that felt stuck, finances, love, purpose, will begin to move because you finally learned the language of trust. You stopped forcing outcomes, and heaven took that as permission to work without interruption. Even now, unseen helpers are arranging circumstances in your favor. You don't need to chase, you simply need to stay centered. Tonight, when you rest, whisper softly, I am ready to receive without fear. That sentence will open invisible gates. The Archangel watches you, a faint smile across his face. The hardest part is over, he says. The story that once broke you has become your wings. And somewhere in the distance, heaven whispers one more promise. The next time love calls your name, it will sound like peace. When love starts to sound like peace. My beloved child, the Archangel watches as you step into a softer light. The world hasn't changed its colors, you have changed the way you see. Every detail, the hum of morning, the weight of sunlight on your hands, the small kindnesses of strangers, feels deliberate now, as if heaven itself is painting your days in gentler shades. This is what arrival looks like, not fireworks, but steadiness. Heaven speaks through the rhythm of ordinary things. The coffee that tastes warmer, the walk that feels shorter, the sigh that finally releases, these are heaven's ways of saying, you are safe. It is reminding you that peace is not a place you travel to, it's the atmosphere you now carry. You will soon notice new faces appearing at the edges of your life. They will not demand or perform. They will simply meet you where you are, without needing explanations. Some will become friends, one may become something more. You will know them not by excitement, but by calm. Your spirit will recognize that you no longer need to brace for disappointment. Love that comes from heaven never rushes, never confuses, never takes more than it gives. The Archangel whispers, you once chased intensity and called it connection. Now you understand that peace was the real spark. Child, let yourself receive this season without suspicion. The heart that has learned discernment can trust again. Every moment you spend in gratitude strengthens the signal heaven uses to guide blessings toward you. Where fear once blocked flow, faith now builds bridges. You will also feel called to create again, to sing, to write, to plant, to build. Creation is heaven's favorite form of worship. When you make something beautiful from what once hurt, the universe balances itself. Do not question small inspirations, follow them. They are whispers of purpose, invitations to play in the same garden where heaven walks. Heaven says, you are not behind, you are precisely on time. Everything that seemed delayed was synchronized to the rhythm of your healing. The job that didn't happen, the friendship that paused, the silence that stretched, each was a comma, not a period. Now the sentence continues, smoother than before. As night falls, the Archangel stands at your window again. The wind moves through the curtains, carrying the faint scent of change. Rest easy, he says. The season of proving is over. Now comes the season of being. You close your eyes and feel a pulse beneath your ribs, a steady, patient beat that no longer races at the memory of loss. That rhythm is your new language with heaven. It says everything words can't. I am whole. I am guided. I am loved. And in that stillness, heaven whispers one last reminder for tonight. The peace you found was never the ending. It was the beginning of every good thing that waits for you. The light you leave behind. My beloved child, the Archangel watches you walk through the world that once frightened you. The roads are the same, but the traveler has changed. You no longer hurry to prove, you move to share. The very air around you seems to pause before it touches you, as if even the wind recognizes a sacred calm. Heaven speaks softly, you are living proof that peace is possible. Every time you choose gentleness over reaction, you rewrite the energy in the room. You may not notice it, but people breathe easier after you pass. They don't always understand why, they just feel safe. That safety is what the angels call glory, ordinary holiness in motion. The Archangel points toward the faces that have quietly returned to your orbit. Some once hurt you, some once doubted you, and some are strangers drawn to warmth. You do not have to decide who stays. Your calm will do the sorting. Those who are ready for light will stay, those who still need shadow will fade without drama. You owe no explanations. Child, heaven never asked you to be perfect. It only asked you to keep the door open between your heart and the divine. Every time you listen to intuition instead of fear, that door widens. Through it, grace moves both ways, out to heal others, in to refresh you. This is how eternity works. One breath of compassion at a time. You will find yourself teaching without trying. Someone will ask how you stayed kind. Someone will ask how you kept believing. You will smile and tell them you didn't climb out alone, that something unseen lifted you. That sentence, spoken simply, will be the moment heaven speaks through you. This is legacy, not fame, but quiet influence. The Archangel whispers, every healed heart becomes a teacher. You are that now. Not by sermons, but by example. You live gently, and that gentleness will echo long after your steps fade. That is how heaven measures a life. As you rest tonight, remember this truth. there was never a single wasted tear. Each one watered something beautiful that now blooms in unseen gardens. The people you helped without reward, the prayers you whispered when no one watched, the love you gave even while aching, these are the treasures heaven counts as victory. The Archangel leans close one final time. The story isn't ending, he says, it's expanding. Everywhere you go, light will recognize you. When someone else breaks the way you once broke, your calm will call to them, and they will find the way home. Heaven's voice wraps around those words like music fading into dawn. Go softly. Carry peace like a lantern. Wherever it shines, I am with you. You breathe, and the room feels wider. The silence is not empty, it is full. You understand now that endings in heaven's language are simply beginnings written in a different tense. Dove, whisper quietly to yourself before you sleep. I am not waiting for light. I am light. And let that be the final blessing of this story. The quiet reward. My beloved child, heaven lets the morning arrive slowly. There is no rush, no demand. The Archangel watches the sunlight creep across your floor and smiles. This is how grace finishes its work, without noise, without ceremony. You have walked through night after night, and now the light simply belongs to you. Heaven whispers, nothing is missing anymore. You used to think peace would come as a grand moment, a miracle that everyone could see. But peace came quietly, tucked inside small things, the smell of coffee, a friend's laughter, the rhythm of your own breathing. It came as permission to exist without needing to prove you deserve it. You will begin to feel a kind of gratitude that doesn't need words. It will live in your gestures, the way you greet the day, the way you listen when others speak, the way you no longer chase what drifts away. That is what mastery of the heart looks like. The Archangel places a hand over your shoulder and says, when heaven finishes a miracle, it hides it in daily life. Look around you, the ease in your chest, the softness in your voice, the gentleness in your decisions, these are your miracles wearing ordinary clothes. Soon, you will sense heaven opening new doors, not because you asked again, but because you stopped begging. The divine always moves fastest when your soul is still. Work will find direction. Companionship will feel effortless. Even the things that once worried you will begin to solve themselves. It will feel like wind pushing you forward. That is what alignment sounds like. Child, you may not notice how bright you have become. You walk through crowds carrying light like fragrance, unseen but unmistakable. People who are tired will look at you and remember hope. The Archangel calls this the quiet reward, peace that multiplies itself. Heaven says, this is your inheritance. Keep living gently, and everything you touch will grow. The world will still have noise, but you will not lose your balance again. You know where to return: silence, gratitude, breath. That is your sanctuary, and it travels with you. As evening falls, the Archangel lifts his eyes toward the fading sky. You've done what few manage, he says softly. You have learned to turn endings into beginnings without bitterness. You close your eyes and feel the hum of that truth beneath your ribs. It is steady, like the heartbeat of heaven itself. For the first time, you understand that peace was never a destination. It was the way home all along. Heaven's last whisper for the night drifts through the quiet. Rest now. Tomorrow is ready to meet you. Whisper to yourself, I am safe. I am light. I am home. And let the stillness answer back.